Vancouver City Council has voted in favor of demanding fossil fuel companies pay their share of costs related to the impacts of climate change.
Here's a summary of the article.
Vancouver City Council has voted in favor of demanding fossil fuel companies pay their share of costs related to the impacts of climate change. The motion, which passed 7-4, points to a BC government report that projects the city of Vancouver will have to spend $1 billion this century to mitigate rising sea levels. The motion asks for Mayor Kennedy Stewart to write on behalf of Council to the 20 fossil fuel companies with the highest percentage of greenhouse gas emissions to ask that they be accountable for their share of climate emergency costs. Such letters would echo requests written and sent by several BC municipalities, including Victoria, Whistler, West Vancouver and Port Moody, among others, to companies such as Shell and Chevron. Most notably, several oil and gas companies pulled out of a major investor conference in Whistler after the village sent a request to Canadian Natural Resources Limited. Watch, backlash over Whistler Mayor's climate change letter. In January, Victoria Council endorsed a class action lawsuit against Alberta-based oil and gas companies, asking city staff to track costs related to climate change. The City of Vancouver also says it will ask the BC and Canadian governments to enact laws to confirm the responsibility of fossil fuel companies in paying their share of climate change-related costs.
This post received a score of 2,866, with an upvote ratio of 95%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
It's a city council. Parliaments call expert witnesses and have extensive staff resources to draft laws that will minimize negative impacts. A city council has none of this. Sounds like an ideological echo chamber punching above its weight.
This is the best virtue signaling I've ever seen, refuses to take care of coal and China home ownership but will do more to decrease jobs, increase gas prices and punish the middle class more.
I think Canadians have a very different response to Vancouver than the denizens of our world news. They'll rail about housing prices, but they'll put in place more measures to make housing more unaffordable. They want a tax on pollution, but will immediately kick out any government that dares charge them a tax. Whenever Vancouver speaks, the rest of Canada rolls their eyes.
Ha! Living in Vancouver since about 2 years, this is such a nice summary of the core issue with Vancouver. Such a weird city full of contrast.
Vancouver and Victoria dump their raw sewage into the surrounding waters. Let's start by cleaning our own shit up.
Hey, why don't you also do something about rich foreigners buying up all the property and not living there?
My guess is Vancouver City Hall finds all the taxes involved with land ownership transfer are hard to resist.
So, if they were serious they'd just put a city excise tax on gasoline, nat gas and heating oil sales to consumers, something actually within their authority. But of course the voters might not appreciate that, so let's just signal instead.
Does that include cruise ships?
Yet the city of Victoria, capital of BC, continues to dump raw sewage into the Pacific Ocean.
When people, consumers, are forced to pay the full cost of fossil fuels, they will realize how expensive they really are. A city council isn't going to make this happen, but the idea is right.
Vancouver is a city where they announce things but never do them. They had this idea of a green building code that they announced but never put in place. The green building code would require each building to have set limits on pollution. They never put it in place. All this did was create market uncertainty and drive up the prices of existing homes.
Vancouver had already wiped out gas stations with the combination of excessive taxes and already high cost. You always fill up your car in the US or at least a different municipality. The Green Building Code is idiotic. They have protected the drafty, fire-trap mold farm single houses that cover 85% of residential land. The worst new construction is far better than the World War II-era shacks they are so bent on preserving.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.